Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And now we're going to shift to a little bit of a different topic, but you'll see how it all ties together, because, we need to be brave. We need to ask, we need to embrace what we're receiving, right? That's what we learned from Danielle. And now we learned that community is a big element of building companies. And I saw already Brittany Barreto from Femtech Focus chiming in here. And the beauty of these communities and working together is that we're sharing these experiences and connections. And that's actually how we got introduced. Saundra Pelletier and I got introduced through Brittany and our partnership on the Femtech Academy that we ran last year. And now that we know that we need to ask and we need to be brave, I would like to introduce Saundra and see what that looks like in real life and see what her day looks like as the CEO of a publicly traded company. So let me do a quick introduction to do you justice, Saundra. So you're the CEO of Efovem Biosciences, which is a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. And that is a commercial stage biopharmaceutical company committed to developing and commercializing innovative products to address unmet needs in women's sexual and reproductive health, including a hormone-free, woman-controlled contraception and protection from certain sexual transmitted diseases. So you led the development and the FDA approval of a product called Phexxi, which is the first and only non-hormonal female-controlled on-demand prescription vaginal gel for the prevention of pregnancy. And you launched it in September 2020 and is expected to meet a significant unmet need for the 21 million US women who are beyond hormones. So you're also working on a pipeline for products to prevent chlamydia and gonorrhea. So a lot of interesting topics and kind of things that we don't necessarily want to talk about. And I also know these are products that big companies, big pharma doesn't necessarily touch because there's a big enough market. So Saundra, tell us, you are CEO now of this company, you joining us here today, which is incredible. So how does one become CEO of a publicly traded company? And was there one morning when you woke up and you knew that you wanted to be CEO one day? And please tell us and our audience about your journey.
Great. Well, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Okay, brilliant. Well, first, if you did read the agenda and you saw that Anne indicated I would be wearing something special, I didn't get too crazy, but I am wearing one of my favorite shirts for you today that says, "Not fragile like a flower, but fragile like a bomb." So this is my favorite shirt. And the reason it's my favorite shirt is it kind of ties to the first question, which is, thank you, Grace. I love that heart. So what I love is that, look, in the comments that Anna said, is it the why? So I say that sometimes what you chooses you. And for me, the why was I grew up in the northernmost city in the United States, literally the furthest point you can fly to from where I live now in San Diego. It was called Caribou, Maine. And my mom, who lived on a farm and had outdoor plumbing, she really felt that she didn't have any choices, but that all women didn't have any choices. And where I grew up, girls really believed that they chose who they married and how many kids they were going to have. And so I was raised, luckily, by a very strong feminist who really taught me that you decide what you deserve. And so I didn't wake up one day and thought I was going to be a CEO, but I did wake up and know that I wanted to be able to create a life where if I wanted a partner, I could stand by them, not in front of them or behind them. And if I didn't want a partner, I could take care of myself. And ending up being the CEO, it was a long and winding road, but the one thing I cared about, the why for me, was that I know that when women are happy, when women feel heard and they feel satisfied, everybody they interact with benefits, right? We are the access of the world in which the people that interact with us, our children and our spouses. And so when women don't feel as good as they should, and they don't feel like they're being represented or heard, it really has a rippling effect. So I knew I wanted to create quality of life for women. And what I figured out along the way is the best way for me to do that was to innovate in pharmaceuticals. And so when I say innovate, and then I'll stop being so verbose, there has not been innovation in this category in decades. And I know this is going to sound reverse sexist, but these companies are all run by men. They don't have vaginas, okay? They don't suffer with the side effects that are real. Women suffer in silence. And so for me, I really feel like my purpose is supposed to really deliver for women products that really address unmet needs and really make them feel better in their overall life, because then everybody benefits.
Oh, what a powerful message, Saundra. And you are not just talking the talk, you're walking the talk. Quite literally, as the CEO of this company, and you also went through quite a bit in terms of your health there, and to get this product to market. So tell us, like, what does a day in your life look like? I'm dying to hear that, and I've asked the question in the guild as well. And a few people asked the same question. What does a day in the life of a CEO of a publicly traded company look like?
So the truth is that it is like being shot out of a cannon every single day. The second my eyes open, I literally think, what is going to happen today? Now, by the way, I'm a very organized person. I have very disciplined schedules, and almost every day I have to throw those out the window. And I have to throw those out the window because in a dynamic setting, you never know what's going to happen, whether it's with managed care, whether it's with our healthcare providers, whether it's with our sales force, whether it's with our trademarks, whether it's with our investors, whether it's with our manufacturing. There's so many pieces to bringing a pharmaceutical product to market. And so, but I would tell you this, I never have the luxury of sleeping beyond 6 a.m., but sometimes it's before 6 a.m. But the one thing that I always say is, look, I have to make sure that I am maintaining myself and my sanity. And what do I mean by that? Is that every day I take at least 20 minutes, sometimes 40 if it's a good day, to do something physical, to exercise. Right now I'm doing Jillian Michael 30-day shred. So, you can't really, but it's working a little bit, ever so slight. If I gave up the martinis, it would work better, but I can't do that. But I'm doing the 30-day shred, but it's only 20 minutes. Look, 20 minutes I can get up and do an exercise, but it makes me feel better and stronger and healthier. But typically I want you to know is that, so I say that people fall into 3 buckets. You're either a victim, you're a flatliner, or you're a deliberate creator. And so when you say, what does the day in the life look like? Every day I have to get up and say to myself, you owe it to the people that you've attracted to this company, who've given their heart and soul to Efovem. You owe it to the investors who have given you money. You owe it to the women you're creating access for to be a deliberate creator. Okay? You don't have time to feel sorry for yourself or be in a bad mood. Shake it off, sister. Get your butt out of bed and just be engaged and be focused. And I literally have to say that to myself, by the way, every day. I'm also a single mom of a 13-year-old boy. Those of you who have, teenagers going through puberty, that's a fun time, as you know. But I literally get up and say, listen, okay, this is what you signed up for, sister. And I literally talk to myself in my head. So I start that way. Then I look at my phone and I see what kind of organized chaos is going to happen. But the one thing, when I say, I want to just take one step back to say, look, victims are the people that they complain and justify why they don't get what they want. They're the people that when your phone rings and you see their name, you literally think, oh God, I can't do this today. I just don't have the energy for it, right? You know who these people are. Sometimes that we're related to them, which is also not great, but right? It's our responsibility to figure out how to manage that so that we aren't drained. 2, most people are flatliners, though. They say, look, my life is good enough. I'm not a celebrity. I should be happy with what I have. I'm healthy. My kids get good grades. I live in a fine house. Majority of people are flatliners. Women who I think are here, women who want to be CEOs, women who want to be entrepreneurs, you have to be a deliberate creator. And what I mean by that is that you have to every single day remind yourself of your why. And I believe in this law of 3, right? Morning, noon, and night. Red light, yellow light, green light. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The law of 3 is everywhere, if you think about it. So I every day get up and say to myself, what are the 3 things I have to get done today? Not bullshit things like checking a box, like pick up my dry cleaning. Serious things. What are the things that are going to move Efovem forward? What are the things that are going to make my son be a gentleman and a feminist? And what are the things that are going to make me represent who I want to be portrayed as a CEO? And I really think about that. And I spent a lot of time not a lot of time in the shower. I spent a lot of time thinking in the shower because it's the only place I can breathe. But the other thing I want to say, and I promise you, and I'm going to be quiet after this, is that I have a list of 3 things that I laminate. The only places I feel like I can breathe are in the shower and in my car. And so that's the only time I'm ever alone. And so in the shower, I have a laminated card. I really do. And it has the 3 things. Now, sometimes I change it every 6 months. I definitely change it every year. But here was what my goal is for the company. Here's what my goal is for my son. And here's what my goal is for me. And I look at it, how can I help it, right? Most of our thoughts are negative. Everybody, no matter who you are, okay? So how do you redirect that? Well, you force yourself. You force yourself to redirect it by what you see and what you think. Sorry, that was a long answer. I apologize, Anne.
It was a beautiful answer. We want to hear from you. Don't apologize. No apologizing.
Okay, good.
So Saundra, now you have your plan, you have your game plan, you stay sane. But how do you learn to be that person? How do you learn to be CEO? I have never seen an MBA course that says how to be CEO. Tell us, how did you pick up all the things you needed to pick up to be successful in that current role?
One of the things that a mentor of mine years and years ago said to me, we easily forget the bad when we experience good. And if you want to be a really successful leader, you should make sure you have 2 journals. Make sure they're different colors. And one was black and one was red. And the red one was everything that was stop, everything that I did not like about leadership, everything that I thought was demonstrative and demotivating and oppressive. And then I took my black one and it was everything that I thought was fantastic, everything that inspired me, every kind of leadership tip that I wanted to make sure I could emulate. Now, by the way, I started out in the field as a sales rep. Okay. When I told people I was going to be the CEO, they were like, great. Why don't you go to the Olympics and be an ice skater too? You know, no one took me seriously except for me. But why I'm saying it is that in my mind, I thought, okay, when I am the CEO, I'm going to remember all these things. So I kept 2 journals. Now, the other thing, let's just pretend you haven't kept a journal and you've thought about lots of things. You can't believe if you even take a moment today and write down the things that really turn you off. What are the styles and the messages? And even, by the way, the unsaid messages, the negative body language, the corporate culture that doesn't resonate with you. And then you do the flip side and you write down, what are the things that would motivate you? What do you find inspiring? So I still do that, by the way, but I also I'm a junkie for motivational things, not things that are kitschy. I'm talking like substantive things, right? Like what you're trying to accomplish here today, right? Real tips and techniques, but I read a lot. Now, I read a lot. Now I go in and I find books that are, so for example, right now, I have How to Fight a Bear and Win. And I also have all kinds of interesting books like This Book Will Make You Kinder. And my point in telling you that is I read all things all the time. Now, sometimes I don't read every single page, by the way. I open it up and I see that's a paragraph or that's a chapter that's going to matter. I go in, I steal from it. I take snippets of it. I take pictures of it. And I have a repertoire of things. So what I wanted to say is that you have to constantly be willing to learn. You have to constantly be willing to keep refreshing yourself. And you have to embrace the idea that in order for you to stay approachable and be able to maintain leadership, right? Respect is earned. You have to be able to continue to motivate people. And my final comment is, though, I don't think enough women do this, and I want them to because it matters. We have this incredible intuition where we can read situations and people. And sometimes women feel like they have to be very serious and buttoned up in business to be taken seriously. And I want to promise you, the one thing that I believe sets me apart is I'm not buttoned up and serious ever. I don't take myself too seriously. I wear crazy t-shirts like this all the time. Usually I don't even do my hair. I only put on lipstick for you guys because you're women, because I like to dress for girls. But the point is that one final example, this morning at 6 a.m., one of our investors was on the phone with me. He said, well, I want to talk to you on Zoom. I said, well, I wish I could, but guess what? I'm wearing rain shoes in my pajamas. My water heater exploded last night. My garage has 2 inches of water in it. I'm speaking on a program in a few hours, and I've got to brush my hair and put on lipstick, so I can't get on Zoom with you right now. And he literally started laughing, and he goes, well, do you want to talk? I said, yeah, it's great. You just keep talking. I'm going to put you on speaker, but I got to mop out the whole garage. And he literally started laughing, and he goes, I have to tell you why I think it's so funny, Saundra. Every time I talk to you, you say things like, I'm at my son's recital. Is this important? Do I need to leave? And he said, you never lie. You always say what you're doing and what's going on. So I know you're like a real person. And he said, but I always know. I remember his wife's name. I remember that he loves standard poodles. These are little things, but I want you to hear this, that our investors, who are very well-respected humans in the healthcare community, they remember me because I make sure that I'm memorable. But I do it not my smart business words. I mean, give me a break. Anybody can say smart business words. That's so boring. They remember me because I show them who I am, but I show them why I care about them too. And women do that better than men. We can get away with it better than men. And we can get away with saying kind, sweet things that men are never going to do. But I promise you, even the meanest men, they remember it. Women remember it and love it. But yes.
I love that. Oh my God, I got a whole boost of motivation right now. Like shaking a little bit. I'm like, yes, we can be ourselves and we can do the things we want to do. People are saying, love this, so good. So thank you. And you just mentioned something about the man in your company and the investors. And so let me ask you a little bit of a private question. So you were public about your journey of battling stage 3 breast cancer. And you also said that it positively affected your work as a CEO. And you mentioned that experience helped you delegate more. And actually you send your chief commercial officer to conferences, Russ, I think it was, to speak about hormonal contraception on stage as a man, right? And so, I mean, what did you learn? And how can men also be better allies to women like you, not to just accept that you're not going to be on a Zoom call while you're mopping up your floor, and sorry to hear that. I hope everything will be fine. But also, how do you really make the men be allies to you and support you on that journey?
So 2 things. Well, first I want to just start and just say that one of the reasons that's very serendipitous, and sincerely, this wasn't the beginning of the mission, is that, so my company did launch, as you heard from Anne, a product called Phexxi, and it's PHEXXI. And the reason it's called Phexxi is that the product works by maintaining a normal vaginal pH. So Phexxi, pH, is for the mechanism of action, and the XX chromosome for women. But our product is the only contraceptive product, only birth control in the United States that has no hormones and that you only use when you have sex, right before or up to an hour. But think about this. During my journey, okay, I had to raise over $400 million of capital. I didn't have a family history. I do not have a breast cancer gene. And I get diagnosed with late stage aggressive breast cancer. Now, once women have cancer, by the way, they can never use a hormone again, ever. And if they're in their fertility years, the last thing an oncologist wants is for women to get pregnant, because you have all these hormones circulating through your body, which is what a lot of times causes your cancer in the first place. But the interesting thing is that the diagnosis for my oncologist was that my cancer was a result of using hormonal contraception. So if you are a woman like me and you cannot use hormonal contraception, our product Phexxi could be a very good choice. But it was so amazing and serendipitous and kind of crazy, right? That I'm going through cancer. I lost all my hair. I had to have a double mastectomy. I had to have my uterus removed. I had to have my ovaries removed. And I went to JP Morgan completely bald. I went to the investor conference completely bald. Now I wore scarves because, you don't want people to feel sorry for you. And, I looked a little scary as a bald woman. But what I would tell you is that good women have always been extraordinary to me. Now, I've had a lot of a lot of female chauvinism in my life, which we don't have to talk about that right now because I buried them all in my yard. So you can't talk to them anyway. But outside of that, I really had men step up for me in a way that was unexpected. But here's why. Look, I know you've heard this in a million talks, and men say it as a joke. They say, we're not mind readers. There's this quote: when people tell you who they are, you should believe them. Men are not mind readers. I don't care how damn smart they are. I don't care how many millions they have. I don't care how many CEOs and companies they've started. They still don't read minds, and they sure the heck don't read the minds of women, I can tell you. And so why I'm saying it is that I found an approachable way to say to them, as an example, okay, we've raised a lot of money. So imagine I'm talking to all men investors about contraception. And at first they say to me, contraception? It's been around forever. There's so many products out there. Do you really need to do this? So first I said, look, let me tell you something, okay? Out of all the pregnancies in the United States, I want you to imagine this. There's 18 categories. You're right. There's so many choices. Half of all pregnancies are still unplanned. Half. So if there were enough good choices, do you think that would be the case? No. It's not that there aren't choices. It's that there aren't good choices. So why I'm saying this to you as you pitch your companies to raise money, no matter who you're pitching it to, right? You have to start out with what is the reality of the market? Boom. What's the market, right? There's 48 million women who can get pregnant. 21 million of them are not using hormonal birth control. And then I go right into saying, I don't want you to believe me though. I don't. You shouldn't. You should not take my word for it. You should ask your wife, and you should ask your daughter, and you should ask your sister, and you should ask your significant other, because I bet you're going to be shocked, because I can assure you they're not talking to you about it. And they're like, well, I would know if my wife changed choices. And I had so many men say to me, Saundra, you can't believe this. My wife has tried 4 different things. And she said to me, what did you care? You just wanted me to have sex with you. You didn't care if I was suffering from side effects. And so he said, it was so shocking. And he said, and then I thought about my daughter, and I don't want my daughter to be on something. And I said, listen, I just want to give you a common sense statement. Women do not have sex every day. Can you imagine if I asked a man to take something every day of every week of every month, year after year after year? Women go on birth control for 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20 years, and they have sex once or twice a week. Can you imagine if you're suffering from side effects and you're being asked to do something every day and just suck it up? That's insane. And they say to me, and I said, but look, if a woman can and will use a hormone, awesome. She should. That's amazing. But if she doesn't, we have this product that can really be an option for her. And no, it's not for every woman, but for the women who want something on demand. So my point in saying this long dialogue is that if you can say to any male constituents that you're talking to that you want to persuade, you really have to remember, and I know this sounds Captain Obvious, but they literally have no idea if it's about a female issue or if you can explain to them the why for you. Look, we're all human beings, men and women. So if you can crisply, better in a pithy way with a little bit of humor, right? Too much intensity, it is true, right? Too much intensity scares the male population, in my opinion. And I've been coached many times. If you act that intense, they go, la, 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 la. When is she going to shut up so I can move on? So you want to be fun and pithy and a little self-deprecating. But in the end, we've been successful because I have said, I want you to think about your daughter and your wife and your girlfriend. And so that's my way to do it. But you can all find ways to do it, but it's got to be relatable and easy and simple and roll off your tongue like you're just talking to your neighbor.
And be yourself, right? Beautiful. Well, that's good advice. And I know we get that a lot from women who pitch men who don't know the markets, not just in women's health, but also other areas. But now talking about innovation in the women's health space, you said there is an issue. I know this is an issue because half the population has it. What's next in your point of view? What's next? What's the next big thing in women's health innovation? Are we going to see a vaccine against HPV or contraception for men? Or what is your prediction for 2021 and the years to come? And what are good areas for women and founders to look into as well?
Well, first I'm going to start out and be selfish and self-serving because, this is a forum in which I can say that openly and you'll be like, okay, go for it. So our company, outside of having the first and only non-hormonal birth control that you use on demand, we are in a phase 3 investigational study for the prevention of chlamydia and gonorrhea. And this might shock you because it shocked me. There are 1.8 million cases of chlamydia in the US every year and 600,000 of gonorrhea, and they're growing for the 5th year in a row. And gonorrhea is antibiotic resistant. And so for big pharma companies, these opportunities aren't big enough for them to invest in. The studies are hard. You have to care about women in a way I think that is incredibly special, which is what our company does. So you will see forthcoming, once this investigational study is done, prevention of chlamydia, prevention of gonorrhea, which I'm very excited about because right now there are no products indicated for either. None, zero. So think about all the money and all the time, nothing. Also, something that we're not working on, that I talk to a lot of women that are incredibly sensitive about sexual dysfunction. I mean, they really are. They really worry if they don't have libido, how is their relationship with their partner going to be impacted? And so I think there are going to be advances and innovations in sexual dysfunction that I think will be very important. But the other thing that we see, which is I'm sure all of you have experienced, it's incredible and growing, is telemedicine. The telemedicine platform has been so extraordinary for our launch of Phexxi. Half of all of our business and prescriptions go through telemedicine. And so that's what I find very, very interesting is that a lot of women, look, we're so busy, right? To go and wait in a waiting room for an hour, to be there 2 or 3 hours, I mean, that's a long time. So if you can get the same quality of care through telemedicine, so I think we're going to see a bigger push in telemedicine across therapeutic areas. Contraception's a big area right now because it's the most responsive, frankly, but I do think we'll see that growing over time.
I agree. So last question, and I did drop in the chat. If anybody has a question, now is your time to ask a question. So if I don't see a question in the next minute, I will ask you my last question. It's about the funding in the startup space, right? We know that the venture funding available, only 2% goes to solo or female-only teams, or 15% to mixed teams, and the rest really just to male teams. So obviously there's a big gap there in education, but also in investing. And I would love to hear from your perspective, like, what is your advice to the entrepreneurs who feel like, well, you know, how can we even start to play a game that's so rigged against us? And what are those kinds of tips and tricks you would say do to really change the culture and to change the odds for female entrepreneurs?
So one, I would say that the first thing is that your pitch is everything. And what I mean by that is your pitch cannot be all about emotion. You have to have facts around what is the problem you're solving for. Number one, what is it? What is the problem you're solving for? And I would start all my pitches. This is the problem we're solving for. Boom. Non-hormonal contraception, for example. Then why are we doing it? Why are you the best entrepreneur? Why are you the best CEO? Why are you the best person to be funded for it? What do you know that's better and different? So the second thing. Third thing is, I want to encourage you, never go alone and try to find somebody relevant to what you're asking. Try to find an expert. So you are the business person, even though you could be an expert in it. What matters is that I would encourage you to try to bring someone, whether it's a physician, an artist, whatever your business is, if you can find somebody that understands it in a different way than you, a different style than you, a different approach than you, to bring somebody with you to help you so that you can say, you know what? I wanted to bring someone else too, so that you don't just have to hear my narrative or you don't have to take my word for it. I brought so-and-so so that they could share this one perspective. Obviously have it ready and rehearsed, but another person with a different perspective that's supportive is super important. And so, but I would also say that you should definitely get other input and practice it. Because the one final thing I want you to hear is that, you know, when something is seamless, it's because it's so organized and so rehearsed. In your strife to be authentic and to, be transparent, you also have to be rehearsed so that you seemed buttoned up and well put together, because investors are not going to give you money if you're a hot mess. You have to seem like, look, you have it together. And by the way, you're fierce and you will walk through a wall to deliver. And in your close, you have to say something like that. That's a little bit fanatical, but that's what people want to hear. They don't want some wallflower. They're not going to do bunnies and rainbows and puppies. They want tigers. I'm serious, right? Would you give your money? If you could give your money to a kitten or give it to a tiger, I don't know, I give my money to a tiger. Well, it depends on what it was for, but mostly a tiger. But anyway, but it's about confidence. And my final thing, it's about confidence and about comfort. You have to be, show that you're comfortable, but that you're confident, not arrogant.
And that is something that we teach in the Guild Academy. We have pitch boot camps. We have pitch feedback Fridays. I see Nancy Hayes is here, who has helped us with those in the past. And it is really, like you say, it's all about practice and being brave and putting yourself out there. Saundra, it's been such a wonderful 30 minutes. I cannot thank you enough. Big round of applause, please, for Saundra Pelletier.
Thank you. Thank you.
Saundra, thank you for joining. Thank you so much for making the time and for supporting women. And Saundra actually reached out to me after our judging of this showcase for the Femtech Academy, saying, hey, how can I help? And I love that. We need to do more of that. How can I help? Ask for help, embrace, and be brave. Saundra, thank you so much. This was a wonderful conversation. And thank you for being there for the women, for the health, and for the founders, and for the CEOs of the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was really my pleasure. Thank you.
Excellent. Oh my God. It's just like going and going and going today.